Hello, and welcome to the Intel Brief, your daily intelligence briefing on global geopolitics. Today is Friday, 6 December. I'm your host Daniel, the founder of HM Intelligence, and every weekday we bring you not just the news, but the so what from the events and decisions that shape our world. So grab a coffee and get ready to be informed. In today's update, we'll be covering EU probes TikTok after surprise win in the Romanian election. The Romanian top court has annulled this presidential election, and France's Macron vows to stay in office as the Prime Minister steps down. So firstly, the European Union has ordered TikTok to preserve data tied to the Romania's recent election amid concerns of Russian interference, as revealed by declassified Romanian intelligence reports. Using its Digital Services Act, the EU aims to investigate potential risks to the electoral process and civic discourse linked to TikTok. Russia has denied any involvement, but skepticism remains, fueled by the surprising rise of a pro-Russian ultranationalist who emerged as the frontrunner in Romania's presidential election. He campaigned heavily on TikTok, featuring viral videos that highlighted his appeals to tradition, faith, and strength. TikTok has denied facilitating any interference and pledged to cooperate with the EU's investigation. Romania's public prosecutor is also probing his campaign's finances. Romania's public prosecutor is also probing his campaign's finances, following intelligence claims that it cost €1 million, despite his assertion that he spent nothing. The broader issue has drawn international attention, with the US State Department expressing concern over the reported Russian cyber activities aimed at undermining Romania's electoral integrity. In the December 1 election's second round, the far-right parties gained traction, though the centre-left Social Democrats maintained their status as the dominant party and are working towards reforming a pro-EU coalition. So what? We will save our assessment to include the next article, which is on the same topic. So secondly, Romania's Constitutional Court has annulled the results of the first round of the presidential election, where the far-right populist leader unexpectedly led. This decision follows intelligence declassified by the current president, alleged that Russian-backed campaigns on platforms such as TikTok and Telegram significantly boosted the far-right candidate. Despite declaring zero campaign spending, he garnered nearly 23% of the vote, a sharp rise from polling in the single digits. His platform, which included pro-Putin rhetoric and calls to cease support for Ukraine, alarmed observers and fueled suspicion of foreign interference. The court announced plans to fully rerun the electoral process, with the government tasked to set a new schedule. The annulment underscores growing concerns over Russia's hybrid tactics, targeting democratic processes in the EU and NATO countries such as Romania. As previously mentioned, authorities cited coordinated efforts by influential social media accounts to amplify the far-right campaign. He was set to face the centrist leader in a second-round runoff, but this decision to restart the election marks an unprecedented move in Romania's modern political history. Meanwhile, the parliamentary election results remain uncontested. So what? It seems highly likely that Russia had a part to play in this election, both directly and indirectly. They are almost certainly running a large, very complex grey zone operation against European states at the moment. Electoral interference is a valuable part of this operation, as it helps to get leaders into power who will benefit Russia through their policies, but it also allows them to cast doubt over the European democratic process. A similar effort was seen in the US in the wake of the Trump-Clinton election, where Russian bots had pre-made campaigns claiming that Trump had been robbed of the election. These campaigns went ahead momentarily, despite Trump winning, showing that Russian bots were pre-programmed to sow electoral chaos. What I'm getting at is that this operation likely had several layers. Firstly, an attempt to get a pro-Russian candidate into power, and secondly, to try and discredit the entire electoral process, which they'll highly likely be doing right now on X, Telegram, and TikTok, now that the election results have been annulled. And lastly, French President Emmanuel Macron has addressed France following the Prime Minister Michel Barnier's resignation after a no-confidence vote toppled his government. Macron rejected calls from opposition parties to step down and emphasised his commitment to fulfil his term until 2027. He promised to appoint a new Prime Minister who would be tasked with forming a government that could pass critical legislation, including a budget. Macron blamed left and right-wing parties, which united to oust Barnier for prioritising political manoeuvring over national interests. Barnier is the shortest-serving French Prime Minister in modern history, as he faced a backlash for his unpopular €60 million budget deficit, which included tax increases and spending cuts aimed at steering the economy towards fiscal stability. The plan was met with resistance in France's divided National Assembly, leading to his downfall. Macron's next appointee as Prime Minister will inherit a deeply fragmented political system, with splits between the lefts, centrists, and rights, complicating the legislative process. Barnier's tenure reflected the challenges of governing without a majority, following snap elections that yielded a hung parliament. The current political instability has sparked fears of economic fallout, including rising interest rates on French bonds, which could exacerbate the nation's debt crisis. Although Macron has dismissed calls for his resignation, the situation leaves France in a prolonged state of political gridlock, as no new parliamentary elections can be held until next summer, leaving the government vulnerable to further stalemates. So what? Macron is highly unlikely to be able to form an effective government in the current situation, as both extremes of the political spectrum appear unlikely to budge. As such, whoever he does appoint will possibly end up in the same situation as Barnier, unable to achieve much and stuck in a political bind until a new election can be called next year. All the while, France's economy will likely continue to struggle, only adding to the situation. Thank you for listening to the Intel Brief, your daily intelligence briefing on global geopolitics, brought to you by HM Intelligence. If you want to support the podcast, why not tell one of your friends to help them stay informed, and leave us a 5-star review. Or if you want to learn more about intelligence, why not take one of our courses? They're all online, self-paced, and affordable. Thank you for listening. I've been your host, Daniel, and I'll see you next time.